I'm Miss Buxton. You're watching this video because you are familiar with WeVideo and would like to be more creative in your approach to this nutrition project. On the bottom of the screen, you'll see this is broken into chapters. Feel free to navigate these chapters as is helpful for you. Just like the tasty videos we watched as a class, it makes a powerful video if there's a smooth flow. There are several ways to do this. When you look at the examples we saw, we noticed that visuals match the beat of the music we selected. For example, in the upbeat video, we saw quick shots. In the dramatic, we saw longer changes. You can also create flow in your video with natural sound that your video already has. To do this, you are going to need to go to your levels off and turn on your audio. So now you see that little blue line at the top. And when you click on the line, you are going to be creating some circles. And the circles are just going to show you where your audio level is going to be going up or down. So you create circles on the beginning of your video sound and then the end. When working with visuals, there's a variety of things that you can edit to create flow or to emphasize a point. There are some filters in WeVideo that you can use to mess around with the color. For example, let's say you wanted to make the first part of this video bland and drawn out, and then come alive with color. First thing you want to do is you want to select the video and split it. Then you want to use WeVideo's filters to apply either the mono, which kind of leaves that part of it really drawn out, or bleach. I think I'm going to use bleach for this one. And then it comes alive automatically. Maybe you want to use another filter to kind of make your final plated meal pop. So in this case, I'm going to use maybe the candy filter. And then it looks a little bit different than the typical shot. Alternately, you can use the blur feature. It's an extra editing effect to blur out your video so people pay attention to your cooking tip. When you're using the animation feature, you really want to think about when to zoom out, which is typically when you want to show kind of the whole picture or it's the final end, you want to show the whole thing, and when you want to zoom in, which is when you want to really focus on something in particular. The same applies to fast motion and slow motion. Let's say you want to dramatize or emphasize a specific part of a process. What you want to do is you want to cut the clip where you want to start the slow or fast motion. And then you can adjust the speed for each of those clips. Each of these examples are little effects that can contribute to a more refined video. Transitions are moving from one shot to the next shot. When thinking about transitions, it's important to think about the pacing flow of the video as well as anything you want to emphasize. For example, as we move from an overhead full spiralized shot of the sweet potato to a more funkier angle, we use a vertical wipe to almost move with the video, the way the video is slicing and spiralizing the sweet potatoes. For a final dramatic shot, we have a crossfade blend from the last prep shot to a knife and fork cutting the piece. This cross dissolve represents a slow blending between the shots. So as you preview these transitions in WeVideo, think about how you could use the transition to amplify or emphasize your video. For this video, you already have what text that you want in this project. I'm going to just copy this So when we video, I know that I want to put my 5-minute text right over this. So I'm going to grab this one-liner here. I'm going to drag it down. I will edit my 5 minutes. I don't really love the color. I want it to pop a little bit more. Okay, and it's about the sweet potatoes, and they are cooking for 5 minutes. I think I'm going to put my timer right down here, and I can change the font if I like. Maybe I like that font a little bit better, and maybe I want it to be a little bit larger. So I can just adjust it according to what my needs are. I could also time out the music so that the text shows up for each kind of tick-tock like you saw in the previous video. Now you can see that I have different layers. I have like 4 or 5 layers of text, and on each of these layers, they're a little staggered, and that is how you can get that effect. You can also choose a text that has a more dramatic flair to emphasize the meaning. When you are editing your text, you want to be thoughtful about the color, the font size, and then where it actually is on the screen. So you can see right here, you can't really read it very well, especially the baby kale. So you could change this in one of 2 ways. You can either take off the auto font size and then you can make it the font a little bit bigger, but sometimes that doesn't always work depending on the style. So maybe I make this smaller and you can adjust that way. Another thing you can do is you can just kind of make this a lot larger just so that we can see the information here. Okay. Notice that the lighter font shows up better on a darker screen. So think about contrast. And if this is your main shot for most of it, then you want to think about always keeping your ingredients on that particular spot, right? So if you're having mostly a lighter font throughout the whole thing, then maybe it makes sense to keep it over this black stove right here. Be thoughtful as well about your cooking tips and your nutrition facts. Use the different color for the ingredients to emphasize your point.